What's going on, workforce? Brian here.
Chris here.
And today we're talking about those of you who got stranded on different worlds. That's right, if you guys haven't seen the news, the world visit system is currently down, and those players who are currently visiting other worlds are stranded, and Square Enix has come out to say and give some more information about that. But first, Chris, how is stream going with the release of 5.5?
It's exciting. I do want to say that we're going to keep streams spoiler free for at least through next reset, at least through next Tuesday, because I think there is at least a week's worth of content there. We talked a little bit about our response yesterday. First half of that video was spoiler free. Then with a huge warning, we move into our thoughts of kind of what everything means for the MSQ, which is the only portion Brian had completed at the time. You've since gone and completed more. I think that you and I are well above average players. Even before you talk about me moving full-time in January, we have always made a priority of this game as much as our lives have allowed. Sometimes that's still only an hour or two a week, but it's always been higher on our priority list than the vast majority of our other hobbies. And so even, keeping in mind that even then, there have been times in my life where it's taken me a week to get through patches this big. Because it is a two-part patch, to people who have had a chance to clear all of it, it doesn't feel big enough because it leaves things open-ended because we have another half to this patch. But it is easily 6 to 8 hours worth of content. So for anybody that maybe plays 2 to 3 hours on patch night and 2 to 3 hours on a Friday and then maybe a little bit on Saturday, it could easily take a week. So we'll keep that spoiler free. But all in all, had a great day. Did my Easter event, got my chicken suit, moving into more ocean fishing, moving into talking about gill making as I want to get the mounts. And then I found out today when I went to go buy some things, hey, what's going on with prices? Let me world visit for this. You cannot leave your own world. And then people said yes.
You can't
and
even
if
get
you
back
were,
to it.
And if you were on another world when this system broke, you cannot get home because there is a temporary suspension of the world visit system due to technical difficulties. And so on the lodestone, they have said, we would like to share an update regarding an issue with the worlds being unavailable during using the world visit system. Investigation results have confirmed that the issue cannot be reproduced on the development team's system environment, and that's going to require a maintenance on all worlds to be performed in order to address the issue. A fix is required to the server in charge of processing each world, and because of it, must be handled with extreme care, and potential fixes must be validated first. We believe the world visit system must be suspended for several days. Because they don't know the number of days, guys, I will say, just to get out in front of this, it may say something a little bit here, but the demolition has been turned off temporarily. So any of you that cannot get home to your house, don't worry, it is not going to be demolished. They have said, while we understand this may greatly inconvenience players currently visiting other worlds, we kindly ask for your patience until the world visit system resumes operation. Updates will follow as additional information becomes available. We thank you for your understanding and cooperation. Now, this is important not just because some of you may have wanted to try to shop that 2B price, that 2B hairstyle price or anything like that, or this new Byaku craze, where there's some new crafted shiny weapons that are very high in price, or people who have actually been reselling the gill mounts. They've been buying the Gilded Scree mount for 25 million from the vendor, which you get every single time, and they're selling it for 48 million. And somebody is hearing 50 million for the new mounts. They're seeing it as a bargain, and they are spending the money on the market board. I assume that there are people making money on the Gilded Namatsu mount as well. There should be no money making on that. You should be able to just go to the vendor and buy it yourself. It's worth making the trip to Mordona or Yolmor, one mountain each, but to each their own. Spend your money the way you want. Wish somebody would buy a mount off me for a profit of 24 million.
Right. You get a mount and then I get a mount
for you for 24 million. What a bargain. 23 million. No problem. Any of you wants to pay me 23 million, I will walk to a vendor for you. So, World Visit is a thing that keeps this stuff honest. It's a huge problem, but the bigger problem here is not this. The bigger problem is not that they rolled out a patch and they're taking servers down to take a system offline temporarily. The bigger problem here is to use this as a chance for all new and returning players to be reminded that we have Data Center Visit coming soon, likely 5.58. What does this mean for Data Center Visit, Brian?
So, well, at the core of it, I would say that Data Center Visit stuff probably has already been staged and not necessarily enabled. And it could, that's when I would look in to say, hey, that was put in, and even though it's not turned on, there's something impacting the live servers, especially because when we talk about 5.58, it's not like that code is automatically just going to appear here in a couple of weeks. And, the fact is also we had from the Steam kind of accidental leak that's when it is targeting the system, which makes sense because we got the world visit in 4.58. So that way it kind of lines up right before the expansion, and you want that to happen right before the expansion. What's really interesting about obviously this situation is that we've really had quite a smooth run from the launch of World Visit up until now, almost 2 years since its release before really having this kind of problem. So, I'm pretty impressed by that fact, and that's why when you said that World Visit is turned off and people are stranded, I was like, wow, I didn't even hear about that. That's insane. What were you made a face?
It broke stuff with Ishgard restoration.
Oh, you did.
So,
but that wasn't a technical thing. That was a design thing, and people went and took advantage of it. Okay, yeah, it's like you made a door and you try to put too many people through the door. Okay, that didn't work. As opposed to you made a door and somebody opened it and it crashed down on top of them. Two different situations.
It's been cautious to a fault where there's been people who at various times can't return home to their own server right away, and that was something they fixed. So it hasn't always been a smooth experience, but to have it just go offline is a pretty stark contrast to what we've experienced. We've experienced issues with it allowing too many people through or not enough people through, not with the system just altogether failing in a critical way. And I would keep that in mind with Data Center Visit. If Data Center Visit comes out and it's region locked, we don't know yet. If it ends up being region locked out of the gate, that could just be a stability choice. Let's keep NA players trying to get to NA servers. Let's keep EU players trying to get to EU servers, because what we don't want is this, where you're stuck on EU. You're stuck with high ping. You can't get home to your retainers. That's what we don't want. So as a reminder, if they make a decision, it's not always because they're like, yeah, we hate fun. Sometimes it's for the sake of stability.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind as we race towards 5.58, just in case we do move into that.
It sounds like it's going to be a week at least till this probably gets rolled out, sometime on a Monday night kind of update, unless they obviously find the issue. The best case scenario is that they find the issue, but you don't rush and end up creating a bigger issue. And that's since, that never ends up going over well, with the community, okay, you messed up. Okay, you fixed it. All's good. Oh, you messed up and then you made it worse. And then you made it worse. And it's stop trying. You're making it worse. But I do kind of want to pivot because Venom says, even if Data Center Visit is absolutely destroys the economy, which it won't, he's excited that we'll be able to play together, especially as a part of that. But beyond just playing with Work to Game, the question ends up being is that there was a lot of people, a lot of doomsayers who thought this was going to break the economy itself. And I'm curious as your thoughts, but I fully think that at some point you won't have to data center World Visit to go and use other people's markets, so that they'll eventually just put that all into one kind of market system. Do you still see them going in that direction, or you still think, I just want your thoughts.
That's what Yoshi P said that he wanted. And so it's technical limitations, at least as far as we know. His intent was to move us to a data center wide market board. And there are going to be winners and losers. There are going to be servers where things are expensive and you have a stock of items and those go down in value as they approach the, data center wide or worldwide average. There are going to be people who come out ahead. They have a stock of items that I just bought a bunch of materia to try to reset the market and resell it. And all of a sudden materia is going up in value and they come out ahead. But over the long term, all it does is give individual players less of an effect on the price. So undercutters don't matter as much because one guy selling it at vendor price gets bought up immediately because somebody in the world's checking it right then. So things at the bottom tend to stay a little higher, and people who try to jack the price up on something, they buy up all of the 2B hairstyles and try to hold it hostage. They just can't outpace demand. There's too many people supplying it for one person. And so it just makes it harder to corner a market. So I think in general, it just offers stability. Every item is still being legitimately generated. Every item that's being bought is still being bought by a legitimate player. If 2% of players on any one server are botters, then when 2% of players across, it doesn't ruin anything that wouldn't already be true. It doesn't create any new problems. It just adds stability to the market, making the market bigger. I think, in my opinion, makes it easier to gauge things like what the real value of materia is. It brings less volatility to the market. And with that, there are winners and losers. There are people who are buying low and selling high, doing a little arbitrage there. That goes away. But for the everyday average consumer, you making money off the fact that the server can't say settle on a price isn't really in their best interest. So for the everyday consumer, this is good news as we move closer and closer to this. I will tell you that with server visit, there are still drastic differences in prices from server to server. So for the doomsayers out there, I guess the silver lining is there will still be people not willing to data center visit to check price.
Yeah. It's, I don't. I was like, I didn't want to. I was like, that's great.
It
depends on the price.
Something that's 200. I will for something that's 40 million.
All right. Let me see if I can save a couple million here. At the core of it, like, do you see that maybe they show off the world the data center visit at FanFest next month?
That would be really cool. I don't know that they'd be ready to do it live, but it would be super cool if Yoshi P took a lap through all the servers. Just swung by Limsa in every server just to say hello, even just for 5 minutes, right? 5 minutes on every server, take a couple hours and just kind of passing through. That'd be super cool to feel like a parade passing through, like a flyover through your part of town. You're like, oh my gosh, that was actually Yoshi P's Lala. That would be super cool to see him be a potato in my very own Limsa. Yeah, that would be neat. I don't think they will, but it would be neat. That's a neat idea.
If nothing else, I fully expect during the live letter to them to kind of walk us through with screenshots and say, like, talk about if there's any limitations or if there's any phased rollout. One of the things we've seen in the past is like, okay, we're going to put this out now, and then in a patch or two, we're going to follow it up and we're going to add these features. Same kind of concept when they introduce, like, just even the jump potion. They're like, we're going to only limit people to one to start, make sure that there isn't this insane run on this, and then essentially then they kind of are able to, and then we'll ease it up depending on how it ends up performing and things like that. So I could see how that would go essentially, but they
said you'd have to go back out to the login screen.
Yeah, well, it logs
so
you
it's
out.
It's not gonna be like server visit where it's this quick thing where you're doing every single server on your data center.
Right.
You're going to be jumping whole data centers, doing them all. Data center, do them all.
You could go to the data center and then you could do the world visit to go from server to server, back out, switch data center, world visit. I'm just happy that it exists. I'm happy for the option because the only option up to this point has been make another character, make an alt, on another data center. And then they make more data centers, and then you're like, do I jump it or do I just level it, and then it's just kind of out there living its happy little life. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like a little news post, nothing hopefully too nasty that hopefully not too many people have got bit by. But if nothing else, if you got stranded, let us know. If you're stranded on Aether on Sargatanas, especially let me know. And we'll run some content together just to hopefully take away a little bit of the sting of not having access to your retainers. I think the only thing that burns, that could, in my opinion, that could be completely wrong, being that it didn't happen to me. But it's like, imagine trying to make money during this time so you could save up and get those mounts, but now you don't have access to your retainers, right? You can't sell anything. And so if this takes more time than not, you might not be able to take advantage of when the market's hot.
Now, the sponsor today is that we are doing this at the end here. For those of you that have stuck around, the sponsor for today is we are moving to new giveaways for hype trains on stream. So I will be now rolling a dice. And one of the things, the dice has a number of rewards on it, but one of the things I will be now doing is when we trigger hype trains here on stream, I am going to roulette. Data center visit and world visit is a key part of how this will work. I'm going to roulette off 1% of my net worth of Gil. So whatever amount is there, I will just trade it to you. No purchase necessary. Don't need to be subscribed to the channel. Donation does not give you an advantage. Our family members can't win it because we're following sweepstake rules like we would for an actual giveaway. So we're going to follow all the same rules just for consistency's sake. So we are just going to give away Gil on stream. So I've reached out to some people that have a better understanding and a deeper understanding of what sort of things Square has banned for in the past. And they said I'm allowed to do whatever I want with my Gil as long as there's not money coming into my pocket directly in trade for the Gil. So those of you, as stream grows, I'm just going to be giving Gil to strangers.
All
Let's
right.
do it.
I'm excited. And if you guys are keeping score currently, Chris and I have two separate 1 million gil bets for various things coming with Final Fantasy XIV. So keep it locked here for more crazy gil shenanigans and Final Fantasy XIV discussions. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, that like button, that share button, and let us know what you're thinking. Any and all thoughts welcome in the comments of these videos. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here live with us Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 2, and then Monday, Wednesday, Friday has a special 2 to 5 extra bonus stream. So guys, that's it for this video for Work to Game. My name's Brian.
My name's Chris.
Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you have a fantastic day, and we hope to see you next time. But until then,
take care.